Picture this. It's a warm August night in 1977. Inside a small observatory in Ohio, a radio telescope known as Big Ear is quietly listening to the sky, scanning frequencies no human ear could ever hear. Days later, an astronomer named Jerry Ehman sits down with a stack of computer printouts, page after page of numbers, routine data from a routine night. He starts scanning through it, half expecting nothing unusual. Then his eyes stop. He stares at one sequence of characters. He picks up a red pen, and without thinking, he circles it and writes a single word in the margin. Wow! That word would go on to name one of the strangest unsolved mysteries in the search for alien life. To understand why this moment mattered, you have to understand what Big Ear was built to do. It was part of a project called SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Scientists theorized that if intelligent life existed elsewhere in the universe, it might broadcast radio signals, and one particular frequency stood out as the most likely candidate: 1,420 megahertz, the frequency naturally emitted by hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe. The idea was simple. If any civilization wanted to be found, this is the frequency they might use, because any other civilization with radio technology would likely already know this number too. On the night of August 15th, 1977, Big Ear was doing exactly what it always did, quietly sweeping the sky, recording data onto reams of paper as numbers and letters representing signal strength. Most of the time, the printouts showed nothing but background noise, faint fluctuations barely worth a second glance. But at 10:16 p.m. local time, for exactly 72 seconds, something extraordinary happened. A signal appeared, and it wasn't faint. It was 30 times stronger than the background noise of deep space. It came in, held steady, then vanished, exactly the way scientists predicted a real transmission would behave if a telescope simply swept past a fixed point in the sky. Days later, when Ehman reviewed the printout, he saw the signal represented in the telescope's alphanumeric code. The sequence read 6 EQUJ5. Each character represented signal intensity, and the letters going that high meant the signal was almost off the chart in strength. Ehman had reviewed thousands of printouts before. He had never seen anything like this. That's when he grabbed his red pen and circled the sequence. That's when he wrote "wow" in the margin. It wasn't a scientific term. It was a human reaction, spontaneous, unguarded, real. What made the signal so compelling wasn't just its strength, it was its frequency. It landed almost exactly on 1,420 megahertz. The hydrogen line scientists had predicted an alien civilization might use to communicate. The odds of natural background noise randomly matching that exact frequency at that exact strength for that exact duration seemed almost impossibly small. For a brief moment, it looked as though humanity might have received its first message from beyond Earth. But then came the problem that would haunt astronomers for the next 5 decades. The signal never repeated. Ehman and other researchers pointed telescopes at the same coordinates again and again, over weeks, months, then years. Nothing. Not once did the signal reappear. In science, a single unrepeated event is almost impossible to confirm. Was it truly a transmission from another world, or something else entirely? Something terrestrial or astronomical that simply mimicked the signature scientists were hoping to find. Over the decades, researchers proposed dozens of explanations. Some suggested it came from a passing comet, since certain comets can emit radio signals near the hydrogen frequency. A theory later challenged when researchers checked the sky charts and found no comet in that position that night. Others proposed it may have come from a classified military satellite, briefly reflecting a signal in an unexpected direction. Some pointed to a natural astrophysical event, a burst from a distant star, or an unknown cosmic phenomenon we don't yet fully understand, and a small number of researchers have never ruled out the original, more thrilling possibility. Jerry Ehman himself remained famously cautious for the rest of his life. He often said the signal was simply too weird for anyone to draw a firm conclusion, not weird enough to prove alien contact, but also too strange, too precise, too perfectly aligned with what theory predicted to simply dismiss as noise. In interviews, he'd remind people that science requires repeatable evidence, and this signal offered exactly one data point, one brief moment, never seen again, before or since. The original coordinates, the signal came from lie in the constellation Sagittarius, toward the direction of the galactic center, one of the densest, most star-filled regions visible from Earth. To this day, radio telescopes around the world still occasionally point back toward that same patch of sky, hoping, waiting, listening for a signal that hasn't returned in over 45 years. Somewhere out there, in that 72-second recording from an Ohio field in 1977, might be the closest humanity has ever come to proof that we are not alone in the universe. Or it might be nothing more than an extraordinary coincidence, a burst of noise that happened to look exactly like what we were hoping to find. Until the signal returns, if it ever does, one word will keep echoing across the decades. Wow.